Do you believe a cleaning lady could accidentally overhear a secret that could shatter a 40-year friendship and $50 million in the bank? Maya, a black cleaning lady, uncovers a $50 million money laundering scheme by two bank director best friends, with only 30 minutes to decide stay silent or risk everything to expose it. Isn't it chilling how one moment could destroy a friendship and an entire financial empire? Does it make you feel nervous? Picture this 10 Koatoan. Friend remember once. The 40th floor of First Atlantic Bank in Manhattan, glowing coldly under fluorescent lights. Maya, a 45-year-old black cleaning lady, drags her mop across the marble floor, her breath fogging the glass overlooking the Hudson River. The five languages she taught herself, French, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, German, are her hidden secret. Tonight, in an empty meeting room, she overhears John Hargrove, director of Harbor Trust Bank, whispering in Spanish to a stranger. They discuss laundering $50 million through Swiss accounts, deceiving David Kessler, First Atlantic's director and John's best friend of 40 years from college. The two once built a financial dream together, now torn apart by greed. John's voice is cold, full of schemes. Maya, whom colleagues whisper is just a cleaner, stands frozen, heart pounding. Stay silent for safety or speak out, risking her job or even danger. During her 30-minute break, her hands tremble on the mop. John returns, his gaze sharp as a knife sweeping over Maya, as if he knows what she heard. In the dim light, Maya feels small, but a spark ignites. Will she dare cross this line? That feeling of being trapped between right and wrong sends chills down my spine. How about you? The fluorescent lights flicker on the marble floor, Maya's shadow stretching long on the glass, Manhattan's skyline glittering outside as if hiding whispered betrayals. Have you ever overheard something that made your heart race? Share in the comments. I'd love to know. And now, let's step into First Atlantic Bank that night, where Maya begins her extraordinary journey. The 40th floor of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, is quiet under cold fluorescent lights. Maya is wiping down windows, her sharp gaze hiding her talent for speaking five languages: French, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, German. Colleagues whisper behind her back, calling her the black cleaning lady, snickering when she accidentally responds in French while grabbing coffee in the break room. Maya doesn't care, she's been through worse. 20 years as a cleaner, from small Harlem offices to glittering financial skyscrapers. She learned languages from an old radio, sitting in a cramped apartment, raising her son through long night shifts, with only a few hours of fitful sleep. Early on, she was fired for refusing to bow to derogatory remarks, but Maya stood firm, using languages as her silent weapon. 2 years ago, she found a lost contract in a meeting room, saving David Kessler, the bank's director, from embarrassment before shareholders. David, 55, with salt and pepper hair and a warm smile, has since seen Maya as a quiet ally, though she's just a cleaner. That day, in a luxurious office, the scent of polished wood lingering, David spoke of John Hargrove, director of Harbor Trust Bank, his best friend of 40 years. They met at Columbia University, studying economics, sharing cheap beers in the dorm, dreaming of conquering finance. When their first startup collapsed, they comforted each other through long nights, vowing to always be brothers. They celebrated First Atlantic's billion-dollar revenue at a Brooklyn bar, laughing loudly under neon lights, snapping photos arm in arm, as if time could never divide them. But John, 58, with a sharp gaze and forced smile, grew envious when David was hailed as the king of banking by the press. David confided, voice full of pride, unaware his friend was plotting behind his back. In the dimly lit break room last night, Linda, Maya's colleague, pulled her aside, voice trembling, saying that last week, while cleaning a meeting room late, she saw John secretly meeting a stranger in a black suit, exchanging documents, eyes darting, whispering about a big plan. Linda wanted to report it but feared losing her job. As just a cleaner, who would believe her? Maya listened, a sense of unease rising like the cold wind off the Hudson River. It's heartbreaking when loyalty is tested by prejudice and ambition. And I bet Maya feels that weight too. And now, Let's step into First Atlantic Bank that night, where David asked Maya to keep an eye on John, unveiling a horrifying secret. In David Kessler's brightly lit office on the 40th floor of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, Maya stands quietly by the bookshelf, dusting, her heart heavy. She, a 45-year-old black cleaning lady, is still reeling from the secret she overheard last night. John Hargrove, director of Harbor Trust Bank, whispering about a $50 million money laundering scheme, betraying David, his best friend of 40 years. David, 55, sits behind his walnut desk, files piled high, his warm voice tinged with hesitation today. Maya, with her self-taught 5 languages, French, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, German, has always earned David's trust. He once said she had ears sharper than a lawyer's. 2 years ago, when she found a lost contract, David looked at her with gratitude, unlike the disdainful glances from colleagues. That day, David called Maya over, his eyes serious, lacking his usual smile. He revealed suspicions about John. Recent report figures didn't add up, and John's secret meetings at Harbor Trust made him uneasy. John often comes here late, David said, voice low. He asked Maya to keep an ear out, not to translate documents, but to listen while cleaning meeting rooms late, where she's usually invisible among directors. You're everywhere, and no one notices, David said, his lips twitching. Maya nodded, but her heart felt like lead. She knew John was more dangerous than David thought. 20 years as a cleaner, from Harlem to this skyscraper, she's used to being looked down on, colleagues' eyes saying she's untrustworthy. But David is different. He sees her value, like a rare light in her gloomy days. Yesterday, while cleaning a meeting room, David pulled her aside, whispering that 10 years ago, John fudged numbers to win a big contract, nearly costing David his director seat, but he forgave him for their friendship. Maya swallowed hard, recalling John's icy stare the previous night, as if he knew she'd overheard. If she digs deeper, will she be safe? She remembers Harlem nights, when prejudice pushed her into dark corners, but she always found a way to rise. This time she must choose loyalty to David or self-preservation. That feeling of standing at a life-or-death crossroads makes me shudder, and I'm sure Maya is fiercely wrestling with it too. Be honest, have you ever been entrusted with a secret that kept you up at night? Share it in the comments. I'm really curious. Now let's return to that meeting room that night, where Maya faces a secret that could change everything. Late at night in First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, Maya, the 45-year-old black cleaning lady, pushes her mop through the 40th floor meeting room, her heart pounding after David Kessler's request. He suspects John Hargrove, director of Harbor Trust Bank, his best friend of 40 years, and asked her to watch for late-night meetings. The fluorescent lights cast a dim glow, the heavy air weighing on her shoulders. Maya knows she's stepping into a dangerous game. That night, while cleaning the meeting room, the glass doors reflect her shadow like a ghost. Suddenly, whispers in Spanish echo from the room's corner. It's John, his voice cold, talking to Sarah, director of City Point Bank. They discuss laundering $50 million through Swiss accounts, using fake contracts to deceive David. Maya freezes, gripping the mop, ears straining to catch every word. John talks about splitting the money after David falls into the trap. Sarah nods, her voice sharp, as if she doesn't fully trust John. Maya recalls John's piercing stare from the night before, like a knife, as if he knew she'd overheard. Abruptly, Sarah whispers about a third party who will handle the rest, sending chills down Maya's spine. Who else is behind this scheme? 20 years as a cleaner. She's used to being invisible, but this secret is too big. She wants to run and tell David, but her feet feel rooted. If she speaks up, will anyone believe a cleaner like her? Or will John crush her, like colleagues who once mocked her? She thinks of Harlem, long nights learning languages via radio, not to be a hero, but to prove she's not invisible. She thinks of her son, now in college, because she taught him truth is worth it, however painful. In the cold meeting room, she looks out at Manhattan's skyline, its lights reminding her of days fighting to be seen. She didn't seek trouble, But this secret chose her. A small fire sparks within her. Can she change this game? Each step on the marble floor marks her resolve, but fear clings like darkness. That feeling of being trapped between truth and danger gives me goosebumps. How about you? After overhearing John Hargrove and Sarah plotting to launder $50 million, Maya sits in the break room of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, her mind a tangled mess. The secret clings to her like a nightmare. She grips a cold coffee cup, trying to shake off fear. That night, while cleaning the 40th floor meeting room, she found a document John left under a chair, a thick contract, dense with text. Flipping through it, her eyes widened as she realized it was a fake contract, detailing a $50 million loan from First Atlantic Bank, funneled to a Swiss account. John planned to use it to deceive David Kessler, ruining his reputation. Maya's heart raced. This secret could destroy everything. She recalled Sarah's mention of a third party, and now this document seemed to confirm John as the mastermind. Suddenly, she spotted David's signature on the contract. Throwing her into confusion, did David know about this plan and was pretending 20 years as a cleaner? She'd learned to distrust everything, but that signature scrambled her thoughts. She wanted to rush to David, but fear clung to her. If John found out, she'd lose her job, or worse. She remembered colleagues mocking her, calling her useless, but David always looked at her with trust. She stuffed the contract into her pocket, heart pounding, deciding to bring it to David, despite suspecting him. She recalled Harlem days, learning languages via radio to prove she wasn't invisible. She thought of her son, now in college, because she taught him truth was worth it, however painful. This document was her chance to do something big, but also a risk that could plunge her deeper into darkness. She wondered if David was involved. Who was she up against? 2 decades of quiet work. She never imagined standing at such a life or death crossroads. She recalled Harlem nights, when colleagues jeered, but she persevered, using languages like a flame to warm her self-respect. Today, she wasn't just a cleaner, she was the keeper of truth. And despite fear, she resolved not to turn back. She stood breath-trembling, ready to face David, though the cost might be everything. That feeling of standing between truth and danger chills me. How about you? Maya sits in the break room of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, hands trembling as she clutches the fake contract she found, David Kessler's signature, throwing her into confusion. The $50 million laundering secret by John Hargrove and Sarah still haunts her. But is David involved? She hesitates to tell him, fearing she's wrong. That night, while cleaning the 40th floor meeting room, she saw John's phone left on the table. The screen lit up, a message in Chinese appearing. Maya, with her self-taught language skills, scanned it, heart racing. The message from an anonymous contact discussed transferring $50 million to a Swiss account, but John planned to keep it all, betraying even Sarah, the director of City Point Bank. She translated each line, every word confirming John as the mastermind, deceiving not just David but his ally. Suddenly, an older message popped up, revealing John had tricked David 5 years ago in a smaller contract, costing him millions. Maya swallowed hard. John's betrayal wasn't new. 20 years as a cleaner, she was used to being looked down on, but this secret burned like fire in her chest. She wanted to tell David, but his signature on the fake contract made her hesitate. If David knew, who was she playing against? She recalled Harlem nights, teaching her son that truth was worth it, however painful. But this truth could cost her everything. She thought of David's trusting gaze, unlike colleagues who called her useless. In the quiet break room, she felt like a small pawn among giants. She carefully noted the messages, hands shaking, determined to learn more before confronting David. She remembered learning languages via radio, not to be a hero, but to prove her worth. Now, John's phone was a key, but also a blade at her throat. She wondered, if John found out, what would happen to her? 2 decades of silent work. She never imagined facing such a massive scheme. But the fire in her burned stronger than fear. She's not invisible anymore. That feeling of standing between truth and danger chills me. How about you? And next, let's step into the moment. Maya faces her fear, where this secret pushes her to the brink. Maya stands in the empty hallway of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, clutching the transcribed messages from John Hargrove's phone, her mind in turmoil. The $50 million money laundering plot to deceive David Kessler and John's betrayal of Sarah burn like fire within her. David's signature on the fake contract makes her doubt, is he innocent? She wants to tell David, but fear clings like darkness. If John finds out, a cleaner like her could lose her job, or worse, face danger. 20 years as a cleaner, she's used to colleagues calling her useless, their scornful glances as she passes through hallways. But David always looks at her with trust, like a rare light in her dark days. Now she faces the biggest choice of her life: loyalty to David or protecting herself. She recalls Harlem Nights, teaching her son that truth is worth it, however painful. But this truth could cost her dearly. Yesterday, Linda, her colleague, pulled her into a hallway corner, voice trembling. She whispered she also suspected John, having seen him sneaking in the meeting room, exchanging documents with a stranger, but was too scared to speak. As a cleaner, no one would believe. Maya feels lonelier than ever if even Linda is afraid. Should she take the risk? She thinks of her son, now in college, because she taught him courage is facing fear. But John isn't just a director. He's someone ready to crush anyone in his way. She stands there, breathing heavily, recalling Harlem days when she learned languages to prove she wasn't invisible. Now, this secret is her chance to do something big, but also a trap that could swallow her. She wonders, if she's wrong about David, she'll lose everything: her job, safety, future. But if she stays silent, can she live with herself? She grips the transcript, resolve flaring like fire, though fear clings like the cold wind off the Hudson River. That feeling of standing at a life or death crossroads makes me shudder. How about you? Now, when follow Maya into the moment she brings this secret to David, where the game begins to turn. Maya stands outside David Kessler's office at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, clutching the transcribed messages and fake contract from John Hargrove, her heart pounding. The $50 million laundering plot to deceive David and John's betrayal of Sarah burn like fire in her chest. She takes a deep breath, knocks, knowing she's stepping into a dangerous game. David, 55 with salt and pepper hair, sits behind his walnut desk, eyes serious. Maya recounts everything: John and Sarah's whispered Spanish conversation, the fake contract, the Swiss account, and the mysterious third party. She hands over the transcript, voice trembling but firm. David scans it, his face darkening, not as surprised as she expected. He pauses, as if he'd long suspected. Suddenly, David reveals that 10 years ago, John fudged numbers to win a big contract, nearly costing him his director seat, but he forgave him for their friendship. Maya swallows hard. John's betrayal isn't new. David asks her to keep it secret, saying he wants to trap John to expose the full plan. Keep watching. Maya, he says, voice low. She nods, but her heart feels heavy if David already knew. Why need her 20 years as a cleaner? She's used to being looked down on, but this time, she feels like a pawn in a bigger game. She thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him truth was worth it. But if John finds out, what will happen to her? David looks at her, eyes trusting, but his signature on the fake contract still haunts her. She leaves the office, mind in chaos, wondering if David is playing a bigger game than John. She recalls Harlem days, learning languages to prove she wasn't invisible. Now she's a crucial link, but also an easy target. She resolves to press on, though fear feels like the cold Hudson wind. In the empty hallway, each step echoes like a challenge she won't stop, though the cost might be everything. Maya's shadow stretches long on the marble hallway floor, the fluorescent lights flickering, a distant old photo of David and John reminding of a friendship now shattered. Maya, heart heavy, steps into the 40th floor meeting room of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, after leaving David Kessler's office. He asked her to keep quiet and keep watching John Hargrove, his 40-year friend plotting to launder $50 million. David's signature on the fake contract still haunts her. Is he truly innocent? That night, she cleans the meeting room late, the air cold around her. She carefully checks every corner, heart pounding, knowing she's sinking deeper into a dangerous game. Suddenly, John's phone, left on the meeting table, buzzes. An incoming call, a voice in Arabic blaring through the speaker. Maya, with her self-taught language skills, instantly recognizes John's voice. He discusses the $50 million deal, confirming the plan to use a fake contract to deceive David and keep all the money, betraying even Sarah from City Point Bank. Maya quietly pulls out her personal phone, recording the call, hands trembling. Each of John's words cuts like a knife, confirming his betrayal. Abruptly, John mentions a powerful backer who will shield them if the plan fails, sending chills down Maya's spine, who has the power to stand behind this scheme. She recalls John's icy stare, as if he's always watching her. 20 years as a cleaner, she's used to being looked down on, but this secret burns like fire in her chest. She thinks of her son, of Harlem nights, teaching him that truth is worth it. But if John discovers her recording, what will happen to her? She recalls David's words, "You're everywhere, and no one notices." But what if the backer knows? She carefully saves the recording, mind in turmoil, wondering if David is hiding something from her. She's no longer just a cleaner. She's the one holding evidence that could topple John. But with each step, she feels like a small pawn in a game of giants. John's phone lies alone on the meeting table, its screen light casting her shadow, the distant Manhattan skyline glittering as if hiding dark secrets. She stands there, breathing heavily, clutching her phone, feeling like she's on the edge, knowing this recording could change everything or destroy her. She thinks of Harlem, where she learned languages to prove she wasn't invisible, and now she resolves not to let fear stop her. Maya leaves the 40th floor meeting room of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, carrying the recorded call from John Hargrove, like holding a burning secret in her heart. John has fully exposed his plan to deceive David Kessler and betray Sarah, with a mysterious backer behind him. That night, cleaning the meeting room late, she feels unease, as if someone is watching. John, director of Harbor Trust Bank, has been showing up unexpectedly at First Atlantic lately, his gaze making her shudder. David once said she was invisible to everyone, but now she feels John's eyes piercing through her. 2 decades as a cleaner, she's used to being ignored, but this time her invisibility is a danger. While cleaning the meeting table, she finds a small note tucked in a stack of documents. In John's handwriting, "Don't meddle in things that aren't yours," a clear warning aimed at her. Maya freezes, breath quickening, feeling like John knows she holds his secret. She thinks of her son, of Harlem nights teaching him that courage is facing challenges. But if John discovers her recording, what will she face? She wants to tell David, but his signature on the fake contract still holds her back. She's not just a cleaner, she's someone who could dismantle a major scheme. But if John's backer finds out, what will happen to her? She slips the note into her pocket, resolved not to let the threat stop her. She recalls Harlem days, self-learning languages to affirm her worth. And now, she must press on, though each step feels like walking on a knife's edge. She wonders when John began suspecting her, and if he's tracking her every move. She feels hunted, but her determination burns strong. She won't back down. That feeling of being threatened by someone powerful gives me goosebumps. How about you? Maya leaves First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, after her night shift. John Hargrove's threatening note. Don't meddle in things that aren't yours, like a dagger in her pocket. She steps into the dark parking garage, heart heavy, knowing John, director of Harbor Trust Bank, suspects her. The recording and fake contract she holds could unravel his $50 million laundering scheme. But at what cost? She hurries, her shoes echoing on cold concrete. Suddenly, a dark figure blocks her path. It's John, tall, eyes sharp as a blade, standing by her car. "What are you digging into?" "Maya," he asks, voice low but menacing. She swallows hard, clutching her car keys, trying to stay calm. John steps closer, whispering she should keep her mouth shut if she wants to stay safe. 20 years as a cleaner, she's used to being looked down on, but John's threat feels like a chilling wind cutting through her. She thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him courage is facing fear. But John isn't just a director. He's someone ready to crush anyone in his way. Suddenly, she notices a document peeking out of John's briefcase, faintly marked with an FBI logo. Could it be linked to this scheme she wants to run? But her feet feel rooted. She recalls David Kessler's words, "You're everywhere," and no one notices. But now, John notices, and his gaze feels like it could swallow her. She responds, voice trembling but firm, "I'm just doing my job." John smirks, walking away, but his threat echoes in her mind. She stands there, breath rapid, knowing she's no longer just a cleaner. She's the one holding a secret that could destroy John. But if his backer finds out, what will happen to her? She thinks of Harlem, of days learning languages to prove her worth. Now she must press on, though each step feels like walking on a knife's edge. In the dim parking garage, she feels like prey being hunted, but resolves not to let fear win. Maya's small figure stands by her old car, the streetlight flickering, Manhattan's skyline in the distance as if hiding approaching dangers. Maya steps into David Kessler's office at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, after the night John Hargrove threatened her in the parking garage, his warning to keep her mouth shut like a dagger in her mind. She clutches the recording and fake contract, heart pounding, knowing she's walking a dangerous line. David, behind his walnut desk, eyes serious. She recounts John's threat, voice trembling but resolute, presenting evidence: the fake contract, the Arabic recording, and the FBI logo document. David listens, face darkening but not surprised. He suggests a bold plan. Maya will pretend to cooperate with John, continue cleaning meeting rooms late to eavesdrop, helping David make John expose his weaknesses. "We need to make him think he's safe," David says, voice low. Maya nods, though her heart feels heavy. As David using her? 2 decades as a cleaner, she's used to being looked down on. But this time, she's a key link. That night, she cleans the meeting room, ears straining as John talks with a stranger. Suddenly, she hears John whisper in Spanish about a backup plan if Sarah betrays him. Chilling her, John has planned every move. She thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him courage is facing challenges. But if John finds out, what will happen to her? She recalls the FBI logo, wondering if John is under investigation or manipulating it. She continues cleaning, pretending to be invisible, but each step tests her courage. She's not just a cleaner, she's someone who could topple John. But the mysterious backer and David's signature on the fake contract still haunt her. She stands in the meeting room, gripping the mop, resolved not to let John's threat stop her. She recalls Harlem days, learning languages to affirm her worth, and now she must continue, though each step feels like walking on thin ice. She wonders what backup plan John has prepared, and if David knows more than he's saying. Maya cleans the meeting room at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, heart tense, carrying David Kessler's bold plan, pretend to cooperate with John Hargrove to make him reveal his weaknesses. She wipes the meeting table, ears alert, knowing John is unaware she holds the recording and fake contract. That night, John, director of Harbor Trust Bank, and Sarah, director of City Point Bank, meet late, discussing the $50 million laundering through a Swiss account. Maya finds another fake contract on the table, this time in German. She flips through, translating quickly in her head, realizing it's more detailed: a fake loan to deceive David, with clauses hiding John's intentions. She pretends to clean as John speaks, voice confident. "Sarah, when David falls into the trap, we split the money," he says, but Maya detects deceit in his tone. Suddenly, her phone buzzes lightly, a message from an unknown number. "Sarah, meet me. We can take down John. She wants to collaborate to betray him." Maya swallows hard, hands trembling, wondering what Sarah knows about her. 2 decades as a cleaner, she's used to being looked down on, but now she's the center of a dangerous game. She thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him courage is facing challenges. But if Sarah is also deceitful, who is she trusting? She recalls John's threat: "Don't meddle," in the FBI logo on his document. She continues cleaning, pretending to be invisible, but each word John says confirms his betrayal. She stands still, wondering if Sarah truly wants to take down John or if it's another trap. She recalls Harlem days, learning languages to affirm her worth, and now she must choose between loyalty to David and Sarah's offer. Each decision feels like a step on a tightrope, leading either to light or plunging into darkness. Maya leaves the meeting room of First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, after overhearing John Hargrove and Sarah discuss their plan to deceive David Kessler. Sarah's message, "Meet me. We can take down John," still unsettling her. She stands in the empty hallway, checking her phone, heart full of doubt. Sarah, director of City Point Bank, wants to collaborate. But why? That night, she receives another message from Sarah, arranging a meeting at a small cafe near the bank. Maya arrives cautious, sitting in a dim corner, watching Sarah enter, eyes sharp but voice gentle. Sarah reveals she's long suspected John, discovering he plans to keep the $50 million laundered through a Swiss account, cutting her out. "I need you, Maya," Sarah says, voice persuasive. Maya stays silent, wondering what Sarah knows about her. Suddenly, Sarah smiles, revealing she knows Maya speaks multiple languages, learned from Linda, a fellow cleaner who accidentally mentioned Maya's talent and unexpected source. Maya startles, feeling exposed in the light. 2 decades as a cleaner, she hid her skills to avoid trouble. But now they've drawn her into the storm's center. Sarah proposes teaming up to take down John, promising a share if they succeed. Maya thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him truth must be protected. But is Sarah trustworthy? She recalls the FBI logo on John's document, his threat, and David's signature on the fake contract. If Sarah knows her talent, does John? She declines to answer immediately, saying she needs time, but her heart is conflicted. Should she trust Sarah or stay loyal to David? She leaves the cafe, mind chaotic, wondering if Sarah is setting a trap or genuinely needs her. She recalls Harlem days, learning languages to overcome prejudice, and now that talent is both a key and a burden. She must choose risk with Sarah or continue David's plan, despite doubting him. In the dim cafe, Maya's shadow fades by the window, streetlights flickering, Manhattan's skyline as if guarding lurking secrets. Maya sits in a corner of the break room at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, heart full of doubt after meeting Sarah at the cafe. Sarah, director of City Point Bank, wants her to help take down John Hargrove, the mastermind behind the $50 million laundering scheme. But Maya isn't easily convinced. She holds her phone, rereading Sarah's message, "Meet me. We can take down John," still unanswered. That night, cleaning the 40th floor hallway, her ears strain as she hears Sarah and John in the meeting room. Sarah's voice is sharp, questioning John about the split in their plan to deceive David Kessler. John chuckles, promising, but Maya knows he plans to keep all the money. She quietly takes notes. Heart-torn, is Sarah truly aiming to betray John? Or is this a trap? 2 decades as a cleaner, she's learned to read people. But Sarah is an enigma. Suddenly, she hears Sarah mention my person in First Atlantic, an insider helping her track John, a colleague of Maya's working for Sarah. Maya startles, feeling the floor shift. Who in the bank is the insider? She thinks of her son, of Harlem, Nights teaching him courage is standing firm against temptation. Sarah promised to share if she cooperates, but Maya is loyal to David, who trusts her. She recalls the FBI logo on John's document, his threat, and David's signature on the fake contract. If Sarah has an insider, Maya faces a larger network than imagined. She continues cleaning, pretending not to hear, but each of Sarah's words confirms she's prey in this game. She must choose side with Sarah or stick with David's plan. She's not just a cleaner, she's someone who could topple both. In the cold hallway, her shadow fades by the glass, Manhattan's skyline in the distance as if awaiting a financial explosion. After rejecting Sarah's offer, Maya returns to First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, heart tense, knowing she holds a recording that could bring down John Hargrove. She prepares for a shareholder meeting David Kessler has called, determined to reveal the evidence. In the 40th floor meeting room, the air is stifling, shareholders in expensive suits filling the table. David, 55, stands at the head, voice calm but sharp. He presses a button, and John's Arabic recording plays, exposing the $50 million laundering plan through a Swiss account. deceiving David and betraying Sarah of City Point Bank. John, face pale, stammers denials, turning to Sarah, accusing her of setting a trap. Sarah leaps up, voice shrill, accusing John of deceiving her from the start. The shareholders murmur, eyes darting between the two betrayers. Suddenly, an elderly shareholder in a gray suit stands, holding a document, declaring he's been tracking John's shady transactions for months, matching Maya's evidence. Maya startles, feeling the floor shift. Who else knows this secret? 2 decades as a cleaner. She's used to being looked down on. But now, her recording has the room in an uproar. John and Sarah continue clashing, their alliance crumbling. David looks at Maya, eyes gleaming with gratitude, but she wonders if he's been pulling strings from the start. She thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him courage is standing up for truth. But the FBI logo on John's document and the mysterious backer still haunt her. She's not just a cleaner, she's the one who shook this game. Amid the chaos, she wonders if that shareholder is linked to John's backer or just an outsider seeking truth. She recalls Harlem days, learning languages to affirm her worth, and now, standing at the crossroads, she knows she's changed the game. That feeling of watching truth explode before a crowd gives me chills. How about you? After the chaotic shareholder meeting at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, Maya stands silently in the corner of the room, watching John Hargrove collapse under the weight of the recording she provided. John, director of Harbor Trust Bank, pale-faced, tries to deny the accusations, but the shareholders have turned against him. Sarah, director of City Point Bank, shout, accusing John of betraying her in the $50 million laundering scheme. Suddenly, the meeting room door bursts open. Security officers rush in, handcuffing John. He's arrested, his panicked gaze sweeping over Maya, as if burning her image into his mind. Sarah, seizing the chaotic moment, slips out the back door, vanishing before anyone can stop her. Maya is stunned, heart racing, wondering if Sarah will seek revenge. David Kessler, 55, stands, voice calm, thanking the shareholders and turning to Maya. He reveals a shocking truth he suspected John and Sarah from the start, deliberately using Maya as his eyes and ears to test her loyalty. I needed to know whose side you were on, David says, eyes sharp. Maya is stunned she was part of a larger plan. Suddenly, David recounts that 2 years ago, Maya found a lost document, saving him from a financial blunder that nearly cost the bank millions. And that's why he trusted her. 2 decades as a cleaner, she's used to being looked down on, but now she's shaken the game. She thinks of her son, of Harlem Nights teaching him that truth is worth it. But Sarah's escape and John's mysterious backer still haunt her. She's not just a cleaner, she's changed the game. She wonders, is David hiding more? She recalls learning languages to affirm her worth, and now she stands between victory and new fears. In the quiet meeting room, her small shadow by the glass, Manhattan's skyline in the distance as if witnessing her triumph, but also hiding new dangers. She feels she's overcome prejudice, but will Sarah return? She stands there, heart conflicted, knowing this game isn't over. In David Kessler's quiet office at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, Maya stands before him, heart conflicted after the chaotic shareholder meeting. John Hargrove is arrested, Sarah has escaped, and David reveals he suspected both, using Maya to test her loyalty. She, once looked down on for 2 decades as a cleaner, is now the one who toppled a $50 million scheme. David looks at her with gratitude. He announces he's rewarding her with a share of the bank's stock, a turning point transforming her from cleaner to financial advisor. Maya is stunned, feeling like her Harlem dreams where she taught her son truth has value have come true. But Sarah is still out there, and John's mysterious backer haunts her. While cleaning David's office, she finds an old document from John, noting an international scandal tied to money laundering through Switzerland. Could this be a clue to the backer? She holds the document, heart torn, wondering how much David knows. 20 years as a cleaner, she's used to being sidelined, but now she's at the game's center. She thinks of her son, now in college, of nights teaching him courage is facing challenges. She's no longer just a cleaner, She's changed the game. She stands still, gripping the document, feeling a new door opening, but Sarah and the backer remain dark threats. She recalls Harlem days, learning languages to affirm herself, and now she's proven her worth beyond prejudice. But this international scandal could pull her into greater danger, and she wonders if David is hiding more secrets. She looks out the glass, Manhattan's skyline reminding her of battles overcome, but also warning of dangers approaching. In the quiet office, her small shadow by the walnut desk, the flickering lights as if signaling unrevealed secrets. Maya stands in her new office at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, heart full of emotion after David Kessler rewarded her with stock, turning her from a scorned cleaner to a respected financial advisor. John Hargrove is arrested, Sarah has escaped, but the mysterious backer and the international scandal in John's document still haunt her. She looks out the glass, reflecting on her journey overcoming prejudice. 2 decades as a cleaner, she was called useless, but with self-taught languages, she toppled a $50 million scheme. She recalls Harlem nights, teaching her son that truth and courage are flames piercing the dark. Now she stands here, no longer invisible, but the one who changed the game. Suddenly, she finds an anonymous letter in her desk drawer. Scrawled words, "Don't dig into Sarah. It's dangerous, someone is watching her." She swallows hard, wondering if Sarah or the backer is behind it. She thinks of her son, now in college, of lessons she taught him: don't let prejudice define you. She's proven that, from learning languages via radio to confronting John. But this letter warns the game isn't over. She's not just a cleaner, she's the keeper of truth. And that truth is worth it, despite the risks. She holds the letter, resolve unwavering, refusing to let fear stop her. She recalls Harlem days when prejudice tried to bury her, but she always rose. Now, a financial advisor, the letter reminds her Sarah is still out there, and the backer could be a bigger threat. She wonders, will she dare dig deeper or stop to protect herself? Maya sits behind her new desk at First Atlantic Bank, Manhattan, heart brimming with emotion, reflecting on her journey from scorned cleaner to respected financial advisor. The anonymous letter, "Don't dig into Sarah," feels like a chilling warning, but she won't let it extinguish her resolve. John Hargrove is arrested, Sarah has escaped, but she's proven her worth through self-taught languages, dismantling a $50 million scheme. Suddenly, an anonymous text arrives, revealing Sarah is contacting the third party from the original plan, plotting revenge on the bank. Maya immediately informs David Kessler, sharing the text. David, eyes sharp, confirms he's hired investigators tracking Sarah, and she was caught at the airport before acting. The third party was just Sarah's ruse to mislead. Maya breathes a sigh of relief, knowing she stopped the final threat. 2 decades called useless. She rose, using her talent to shatter prejudice and betrayers. She thinks of her son, of Harlem nights teaching him trust and truth are flames overcoming darkness. She's not just a financial advisor. She's a symbol of courage, proving truth always wins, despite the cost. She looks at her phone screen, heart light, knowing Sarah is no longer a threat. She recalls Harlem days, when prejudice tried to bury her, but she turned it into strength. Now she's the bank's protector, not just for David, but for herself. She thinks of her son, of the trust she taught him, and knows this journey has redefined her a woman who never yields. She smiles, thanking Unveiled Wealth for inspiring her to share this story, and invites you to join the journey of uncovering financial secrets on our channel. That feeling of triumphing over prejudice and protecting truth gives me goosebumps. How about you? Come on, have you ever believed in yourself to overcome a huge challenge? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear. Maya's desk is piled with papers, the bank's dim lights flickering, Manhattan's skyline in the distance, as if celebrating her final victory.